Hi everybody, this isn't something you thought you'd see on my channel, a Beatles video. I'm defending the song A Yellow Submarine. Now, I'm no Beatles expert. I don't get into the minutiae of what they had for dinner or who scratched whose ass, on December the 13th, 1965. It doesn't really bother me. And which studio console they were sitting at, or who spent the longest in the toilet, in 1968 on a particularly hot day after a really bad curry. I don't really care about what the Beatles got up to like that. But something struck me. When we talk about this album, we always, I've said it myself, we always say, oh, what a great album, if it wasn't for Yellow Submarine. And we all do it. And, you might say, well, it's a given. Everyone knows Yellow Submarine is the worst track on here. I'm going to defend it. I don't think it is the worst track on it. I'm going to say something which just struck me as I was listening to this the other day. Now, this is probably, I don't know if this is true or not. This is personal opinion. We're going to see if, you agree with me, or if you think, okay, I get what he's saying, or what a load of absolute twaddle, the guy knows nothing. Let's have a look at some of these songs on here, okay. Now, you could argue Yellow Submarine is not as good as Good Day Sunshine, and Your Bird Can Sing, Dr. Robert, I Want to Tell You, Love You Too, Here, There and Everywhere, She Said, Eleanor Rigby. I mean, there's some quality songs on here. They are absolutely top quality songs. And the incredible Tomorrow Never Knows. And we can easily say, oh, Yellow Submarine, if only they took that track off, and we can say it. Now, I listened to this again the other day and something struck me about Yellow Submarine. And maybe I'm wrong here, but just as a personal response, I thought, hold on a second. This song is actually really quite good. It has something about it. Now, I've mentioned before that the world of the early 60s and the 50s, when the Beatles were growing up, etc., when people were growing up, song was very important. It was something that people did. Families sang songs. There was a piano in the front room, pianos, maybe someone played the banjo or something, if there's another instrument somewhere. But people got together and they sang. It was just a very normal thing to do, and even on excursions and trips and on coach trips and things, people would be singing together. A very different thing. So that kind of song, the element of a sort of, you might think it's almost like a nursery rhyme song. It isn't, but it has that sort of catchy, childlike, innocent aspect to it. The simplicity of, we all live in a yellow submarine, but there's also a real sing-along aspect to it, and a kind of a camaraderie. You can imagine everyone together going, yes, we're in this together, And it was something inherent within culture at that time. Now, I'm not going to make this deep or anything, because it isn't particularly. I think that people have said, well, the Yellow Submarine maybe is representing as a particular drug that came out, Nembutal or something that came out in New York, and it was yellow and it was long and it had sort of blunt ends, and people called it Yellow Submarine. So maybe it was linked with that, and you can read into everything, can't you? But I think something that struck me about the song was its originality. Now, I've just said it's very simple and it's very like this and very like that, but there's a real originality to it. It has effects. It has the C effects. I don't know if that's the first time the Beatles ever did an effect on one of their songs. I can't think of another song before. I'm not going to go and listen to all of those records, but I've got a feeling they didn't really add effects before. Now, obviously, Tomorrow Never Knows has its all phasing and stuff. I'm not talking about phasing. I'm talking about sound bites and clips. Like you've got the captain, the voice of the captain, in the middle of a song, and there's also waves of sea and everything, and that's good. I don't know if a record had done that before. There's also a little snippet where you all know, if you know the song, you know that the band, they say the band began to play, and then you hear just a tiny little snippet of, well, I say snippet, just a few bars of horns, just for a short while. And they say the neighbours, they listen to the neighbours are together, and they all began to sing. They all began to play, and then there's a little band section. Now I'm going to argue that without those effects, without that little snippet of the band, without that, it's far more original than you think. Without that kind of sense of, it's creating a soundscape in another world, very different to every other song here. I mean, gotta get you into my life. I mean, Good Day Sunshine, they're quality songs, but they are just songs. They follow the structure, they follow a normal pattern. This introduces effects, and it introduces something different. And I'm going to argue that without that song and that little snippet of horns, you probably wouldn't have got this. When you consider the actual Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and they bring in almost the same kind of tune, the same sort of horns and stuff that comes in, I don't think you really would have even got this. Now, as you know, I'm not the biggest Beatle nut. I'm really not. But of late, I've been listening to him again and thinking, wow, some of this stuff is absolutely... I can see why people go, oh yeah, they're the greatest band ever. I don't agree with that at all. I think there's you can say easily the best band of the 60s. But, there's all sorts of genres of music that have come up and ever since, and there's all sorts of great, great records which, will knock this into the park in a lot of ways. But I'm arguing for Yellow Submarine. Next time you play the record, Revolver, next time you play it, and you play it all the way through, just allow that song to do what it should do, which is like take you somewhere and just listen for those effects. And you realise it's actually far more original and a little bit more kind of creative and maybe forward thinking and just a little bit of something special. Just that little bit of something special. Instead of, we're kind of tired of it. Without the song, you could argue you wouldn't have had this film, which may be a good thing. But it created something different and unique. And I think, in a way, quite special. Now, I'm quite into all sorts of sort of quirky stuff. As you know, I've played some stuff on my channel down the years, which has been quirky and different and unusual. I like some more like childlike music, all sorts of different things. But I'm arguing the case for Yellow Submarine to not be dismissed. I think we get into a kind of habit of just dismissing without really necessarily just going, okay, I'm going to accept this song for the way it is. And it's actually not a bad song at all. Now, I may get loads of people going, you are talking absolutely. And I probably will. But most people wouldn't have got this far anyway. But anyway, there you are, a Beatles video. And I'm going to have another one at some point, because there's something which I've noticed, which we'll go into that another day. Anyway, that's it. A very personal take and a defence of the Yellow Submarine. I mean, come on. I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to apologise for this video. Some people go, oh no, the Beatles. Sometimes it has to be said. We've got to get involved. I've got to say what I feel about it. No shame. I'll see you all later.